Vinita Haldar. Hello and welcome to this session of Geography with Vinita Haldar. Yes, today I'll be discussing with you a very important topic. Yes, a very important topic, that is folding and folding. Folding and folding. Actually, this is a particular term of geography that is related to your landforms and their evolution. You'll be coming in contact with this definition or this theory of folding and folding not just in your examination of class 11 or just in 12, but also in your competitive exams. So thereby, this is a very important topic. So try to understand the various concepts related to your landforms or the concept that are related to your folding and folding. Because if you understand it, you'll be able to answer various questions that are coming up in your examinations as well as in your competitive exams. So just begin. So if we start on with this concept of your concept of folding and folding, this is a very small heading when we are talking about your landform formation in geography. Folding is simply fold a paper. If you fold a paper, it will turn circular in nature. So that is folding. Folding can be specifically defined as a bend in rock that is in response to the compressional forces that moves towards a common center. Folds are most visible in rocks that contain layering. It leads to the formation of anticlines and synclines. They are generally commonly in sedimentary rocks. So this is a definition of folding. Now you understand what is folding. The first is, it is generally found in the bending of rocks in compressional forces. What happens is, when the earth forces or the earth forces within the earth, this I'll be discussing in your next slide, that is the tectonic forces that happens within the surface of the earth. This force results into the movement of these plates, and when they are moving towards each other, they are compressing a thing. So take a piece of paper, try to compress it. When you compress the paper will take the shape of folds like this. So when there are folds that are happening, it results into two different forms. One is your anticline and one is your syncline. One is your folded top and the another is syncline. So thereby this results into your anticline and synclines. This generally happens in those areas where there are layerings of rocks. Layering of rocks, that is your sedimentary rocks. Your Himalayas or your Alps mountains have been formed due to this folding forces of the earth. Folding forces of the earth. The folding forces of the earth. So try to remember, keep it in your mind. The folding forces are the compressional forces of the earth that results into your fold. And there is 2 points. One is your anticline, that is the top of the fold, and the next is the next fold that happens with your syncline. So thereby, very easy to understand. Fold is compressional. Next is your folding. Now, simply folding happens due to compressional forces. Then the folding will happen to your tensional forces. When you pull apart a thing, then a fault happens. There is a crack when you pull apart the thing, try to pull apart the paper, there the paper will tear up. So thereby, when the paper is tearing up, that results into your fault. There is a crack in between. So this results in a fracture. It is generally caused due to the vertical movement of the plates. The forces move away from the common center, because in your folding, what was happening? The compressional forces, they were moving towards a common center. Here, from the common center, they are moving apart. A fold can be defined as a displacement of one's connected block of rock along a fault plane. That is, when the rock moves, they move along a fault plane. Suppose there is a rock formation that is happening. When the movement happens, there is a slide and the rock moves. So this area, that is when the slide happens, so this area is known as the fault plane, from where the rock is moved. They generally move. So whenever they are moving, they create a fault plane. It leads to the formation of block mountains as well as your rift valleys due to the upliftment and subsidence of land. Because I have told you, when the land is moving, the movement happens like this. There is a sliding, or it subsides. So when it is subsiding, a fault plane is happening here, and there is a subsidence of our next part. There are three parts: 1, 2, and 3. So thereby the 3 parts are there. So the 1 is your topmost part, that is uplifted part. The next is your fault plane, and the third is your subsidence layer. So that results into your rift valley or results into your block mountains. So these type of mountains, generally you can give the example of the Narmada and Tapti rivers. They are generally formed in the rift valleys, and they result into the formation of block mountains, as I have given you the example. So thereby, I hope you are able to understand what actually is folding and faulting. Just don't panic and don't think too much. It is simply folding are the compressional forces and faulting are the tensional forces. So our next heading will be, as I have told you, there are various facts that have been discussed. Why actually this folding and faulting is happening? There must be a reason behind it. Why this folding is happening? Because for every work done, there is a force needed. And if I take this movement as a work, so there must be a force behind it. Why this work is happening? Because this plate or the earth crust that we see right around about us is stagnant or fixed. So why is this moving? So there must be a force, or there must be a force that is being applied to it. So there are various theories go on and on that speak about why this folding and faulting is happening. One of the predominant theory that I also support is your plate tectonic theory. Plate tectonic theory. It is simply the fact that what happens is that you must be knowing that we are generally on a boat, because whatever is beneath the surface of the earth, that as we go down, and further down, temperature of the earth goes on increasing and increasing. So it reaches round about 4,400 degrees Celsius. Imagine the amount of heat stored in the core of the earth. 100 degree is a boiling water. We cannot put our one small finger also into 100 degree centigrade boiling water. We will have crystals. Imagine the temperature that is stored, or the heat that is stored up in the core of the earth, 4,400 degrees centigrade. And this is what we presume but I don't know how much more temperature will be. The thing happens is whatever the temperature of the earth or the core of the earth is so much that it results into the production or the producing of heat, and so intense heat that whatever material that is present inside the state of the earth or inside the earth or near the core of the earth, it melts. It melts because there is intense amount of heat, and when it melts, it starts boiling because liquid boils. So when it is melting because of this intense heat, the all the rocks, all the minerals that are present there, they boil down and to liquid, or they turn to liquid and they boil up. And because when they are boiling up, the condition arises of convectional forces. As you must have, if you have ever seen water boiling, you must have seen the bubbles going up and down, up and down, up and down. Why this happens is the bubbles that when they go down the surface of your utensil, the heat lightens the bubbles, and because it becomes light, it moves up, and when it is moving up, it cools down and it becomes heavy, and then again it goes down, and so thereby a continuous movement is happening. Because of this continuous movement, this is known as the convection cycle. It is going up, becoming cool, coming down, heating 4,400 degrees centigrade. So this is the amount that is being stored there, amount of heat that is stored there. Now this heat or the force that is generated due to this heat, when we are rubbing our hands, it is generating heat. Imagine, this is a simple phenomenon. And imagine the heat that is produced by this boiling of the core of the earth. The heat, when it moves up, wherever it finds simple or wherever it finds weak point, that wherever there is weakness, because it is moving ahead, it is cooling down, and because it is moving up, or it is moving up, cooling down and moving down, cooling and moving down. This cycling is happening. Now wherever there is a bit of pressure or wherever the area is weak, generally the mountainous area or the ocean beds, they are the weak zones. Wherever there is weakness or weak point is there the rift happens. And this rift happens, or this rift results into the tensional forces that I told you. The tensional forces happen that pulls apart the layer of the earth. And this simply results into your earthquake, one of the major factors of earthquake. And when there is, the tensional forces happen, when I am pulling out something, so thereby this area, when I have pulled out, so this area that have drifted away will then force another area where the compression will happen. Because when I am pulling it, so what I am doing is I am forcing applying forces to another area. So when I am applying the forces to another area, so there the compression can happen, because from another side the compression is happening because I am forcing that area. Forcing. So because when I am forcing, it results into your compression of the force. So this is a very simple topic to understand, plate tectonic movements. This is the concept that is very much related to the movement of the movement of the plates that results into the folding and faulting. Here I have tried to define to you the concept of folding and faulting, or the movement of the plate tectonic movements. Plate tectonic movements with a diagram. Now, in the plate tectonic movements, this lithospheric movement is generally of three types. One is your divergent plate movement, next is your convergent plate movements, and the last is your transform plate movement. One is your divergent plate movement, the another is your convergent plate movement, and the other is your transform plate movement. So, in divergent, what is happening is there is tensional force. In convergent, there is compressional force. In transform plate, it is generally the plate slides down or slides to each other. Slides with each other, it can slip down or it can move ahead. So these are the three general plate tectonic movements that happen, due to which folding and faulting happens. Go through the glossary that I have given to you in the last of the slide. I know this is not sufficient for you, but that is just a representation of what is folding and faulting. Simply the topic or the definition is discussed. If you want to understand this topic of folding and faulting or the other topics related to your land formations, try to connect with us and try to leave the comment, subscribe and try to comment or like the video. If you have any questions and if we get more of likes, we will be able to put our next video with you with more of your topics related to geography or related to your land formations. So type in your questions if you have any questions related to landforms due to folding and faulting. So till then, stay focused, stay tuned.